all my life I thought I was really fluent in English, not in an arrogant way, just self-awareness way that I'm good at it. And I was told that I was good at it multiple times all throughout my life. And then there was this colleague who came in from a voice and accent background, especially for the contact center role. And he started pronouncing words differently. And this one day, I said, "Can you pass me my bottle?" I didn't even say bottle. Now I'm saying it because it's correctly coming out. I said bottle. And he corrected me and he said, "What is bottle?" And I was like, "But that's how we've been pronouncing it." So he corrected me and he said, "It's bottle." Maybe I'm not pronouncing that as amazingly as he does. And I was just curious. I was hooked to that. I think that's really where, with that one word, that I was like, I need to start learning this. He's super busy at work and I just couldn't find dedicated time with my work as well. So I thought might as well sign up for a certification, get a good head start. So that was the context of why I joined. I'll take you through the journey now and what all I learned through the way. Yeah. So we started with like a hello, greet, and meet on Sunday, and we spoke about the IPA model, and we were introduced to how English is not a phonetic language. And a lot of times when we are reading and writing, we always confuse it to be like that. So that's one thing that we can all remember, that words don't sound the way we see them on the screen. We were walked through the entire 44 sounds and the breakup of it. So the monophthongs, the diphthongs, and the consonant sounds. And Krish, you did a great job introducing everything gradually because we did it in chunks and we had ample time to process what's happening in one chunk. So I think that was one of the best parts of the curriculum, that I didn't feel rushed. And of course, I mean, these things, language and everything comes with time. So there's going to be a lot of practice involved, but I still think that we were able to give dedicated time to each section. So we spoke about monophthongs, and that's really when I spoke about how I have a harsh T, and you introduced us to the Katappa rule, which has been really handy because I keep reminding myself of that when let's say I'm pronouncing technology as technology. So I have to remind myself, ye nahi karna hai mujhe. Things like that. So I think that was helpful. Then I think the manner and the placement of the tongue is something that we went back home with, and that's really when articulation came into picture. And this is again revolutionary for me because a lot of times when you were pronouncing and I couldn't pronounce it right, but the minute you told us if it's a closed mouth or if it's an open mouth, where the tongue needs to be, it came naturally. So I think these little cues really help you get into the way because there's some logic behind it. So I'm hats off to you to introduce us to that. Then we moved to diphthongs. We had several exercises for monophthongs. Once that base was solidified, we moved to diphthongs. I think I noticed when you pronounce the word there, that specific way, and my brain was this is again one of those things that I got hooked to, and you introduced us briefly about it, and then that's when I saw that throughout the journey about how there are these two sounds. Again, great learning, great activities. We moved to consonants, and of course they seem easy like Sharon said, but the soft th sound, the hard th sound, especially the way some of these are voiced and unvoiced, my brain did not even register this when I've been speaking for the last 30 years, right? So that was again revolutionary. Okay, that there are some of these voiced, some of these are unvoiced. So I think that again will come with practice, but at least now I know what to practice and what I need to correct. And I think that's the best part of learning, that you once, because now I know what I need to correct. I wasn't even sure that I had to correct this. You also introduced us to the sibilance rule. I think that's going to come in really handy. And I think English has all of these rules. You've introduced to us a couple here and there. But I think these are, again, good things to recall and remember, because if you remember that there is some logic behind it, it becomes easier for you to retain that information because it's not random. So I think these things, again, were really helpful that you introduced us with that. We also spoke about the intonation, linking, stress. Again, I've been speaking with linking possibly a couple of times, but I didn't know that there was a term around it. So I think that again helps when you are speaking a certain way, that this is what we're doing. We also did the pronunciation day, where you helped us with the techniques that we can personally, as trainers, as teachers, make our learners learn this faster and quicker. So that was really helpful. What can be part of a curriculum, what cannot be a part of a curriculum, how to give feedback, when to give feedback. I think those things are also essential. We've grown as trainers as well because of that aspect. Not everything is technical. Sometimes it's also interpersonal soft skills as a trainer when you are in the room. So thank you for sharing those anecdotes with us and your secret sauces. So I think that's the first part about what I learned. Um, what really worked well for me were those exercises because they were very hands-on. And even when I am training for my batches, we have a lot of interactive simulations, we have a lot of role plays and presentations, because it's about putting them in the active seat, making them active learners so that they kind of play around, explore what this really is. So I think that worked really well, that we were practicing as a group in the class and you were able to make notes, give us error logs, make us repeat that, because that's really when you learn. Otherwise, if it's done digitally, the essence is lost. There were a few things that stood out for me in terms of the activities, like for example, the start to finish. I think these things can really be applied to our office as well in our new hire batches. So I'm absolutely stealing that idea, because I think we limit ourselves to just pronunciation drills or tongue twisters. Like that's really what's in my curriculum here at work. But when I saw those activities, my brain was firing about we can do so much more. And there's so much more that we can apply. So thank you for sharing that as well. Then audio note and transcription passages, especially because I think the end goal is to understand the language, the phonetic language, and get comfortable with that. So when we were doing those transcriptions passages, initially it was very daunting. I'm not going to lie about it, because I just couldn't make sense for a lot of words. But the more you practice, the more it comes to you as well. Sometimes you don't know the entire word, but you see a few sounds and you just make that this is going to be a mechanic. And I'm sure it's going to come more organically to me the more I practice with it. But I think that was a really good exercise as well. What else is that I need to cover? What did you learn from the PDFs? I think the PDFs is a good reiteration and refresher, because then everything is one place. So I think when I was preparing my talking points as well, I was going back to that. So I think they're going to come in handy just for reiteration, refresher, and just engagement, so on, after the session ends. Future plans for updating your skills. I've already started following a couple of people on YouTube. I think I found you as well. There's some videos from you as well. So I'm going to just start practicing. Some people have different ways of presenting. So I think I'm going to limit myself to one or two trainers. I don't want to confuse myself. But I think that the practice is the only way that I can really work on this better. Future plans for updating your skills would also include, I'm still struggling with symbols, with just remembering them. So I think I really need to go back and make incessant notes like I would in school, like a child. So I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to become best friends with Cambridge dictionary as well, and keep that always open, because I think that's going to be my Bible from now. And I've already at work asked this colleague of mine who's like an expert in this field to give me like a 30 minutes refresher every week, or maybe include me in his new hire batches, and I can just shadow him and like learn by just observing him. So I think that ways I've lucked out, because there's somebody in office that can help me. But yeah, I think that's the future plan. And I know that 20 hours is not enough for this, but it's a good head start. At least now there's context, and now I know what to fix. So thank you for that. And thank you for being an amazing trainer. Thank you for being flexible. Thank you for this team for being flexible. This was a very crazy work week. So thank you for accommodating. this request of doing this on Saturday. And I've enjoyed working with all of you. I've enjoyed your little quirks all these last few days, and I would love to stay in touch. I'm going to drop my email address in the chat if you want to get connected with me. Please do. Thank you. That's it.